Good afternoon, guys. Today we'll be talking about how to use beautiful soup to web scrape HTML websites using Python. So why do we want to do web scraping? Is because sometimes there are certain information that we wanted to update, for example, maybe daily or weekly, and this information it's being like it's on the website and you wanted to just turn it into maybe an Excel spreadsheet and things like that on your own, but you don't know what tools you can use to download information from the internet. So today we'll be giving you a Python example on how to do web scraping. So the act of downloading information from a website is through web scraping. So what you need today is you will need definitely an IDE for Python. We'll be using Python for an example. In today's case, at point of recording this video, we are using Python 3.8. We will also need two libraries for Python, dependencies you would call it, which is beautiful soup, and also a HTML file downloading tool. So in this case, we'll be using the dependency called request and bs4. So first off, you need to prepare your virtual environment through the terminal. So this is just a view of summary of what we'll be doing later. We'll be creating a new project, preparing your virtual environment by the two command lines that you are looking here in this screen right now. And just to verify whether you have installed the library properly, you can check your requirements here through the pip freeze command. So moving on, let's go straight into the example. Okay, so today here I have already written a set of code. You all can just download from my GitHub, which I'll put in the link below. Let me just go through some of the things that we'll be talking about today. And since we are web scraping a website, I'll just show you which one I mind web scraping. Currently it's in this Yugipedia because I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh player, so I'll just scrape certain tabular forms in let's say in this website, just to let you see how does the website looks like. It is something like this. So it's a Wikipedia page. Quite often people would update these kind of web pages and you like to have certain information there, especially like this table. Maybe just to work on it rather than just copy pasting and putting inside Excel. What you can also do is that you can use Python to systematically scrape such information out, this tabular information. So for an example, we'll be going through the PyCharm as a IDE and show you what do we need to write in terms of the Python code. So to start off, just to let you have a very brief look at our code, is that today we'll be going through a few examples. One of them is to find all the tables inside the website, and also we wanted to look for a specific table. And moving on, we'll be looking into individual attributes in that table that you wanted to look out for. So to start off, we'll just create a new project to simulate if you were to start this from fresh. So I just create a new Python environment. Make sure that you already have Python pre-installed on your computer. PyCharm, what it does is that they will help you create a new environment automatically. So in this case, I will choose the virtual environment, virtual env library to create a virtual environment. This library, right? This virtual environment will be stored in your Python project. So let's call this tutorial scraper. Okay, you'll notice that the location will also change accordingly. So this is where you will run your Python scripts inside. Your Python, like if you were to use any library, you will be in this location. And the base interpreter will be the one that you use to install in your system. So in this case, we'll just press create. And we just create open in a new window so that I can show you side by side. Okay, so notice that on the left hand side, right, we will have a virtual environment that was created. And just to verify what virtual environment is this, we can always just go to the terminal and you'll see that there's this venv, just to make sure whether which virtual environment we are using. Let me see whether if we can check this out. Yep. So the first link here is the one which we are using. Let me verify again. If I'm not mistaken, it should be the first one here. So this is the tutorial that we're using for this virtual environment. Just to make sure whether you are using the right environment, you can always just disable this by pressing deactivate. You'll notice that now the virtual environment was not instantiated. However, to verify, if you wanted to manually turn on this terminal to ensure that you're using the library, what you can do is that you can always just go to the directory, because this is a command prompt style terminal. You'll notice that this is actually sharing the virtual environment of this particular folder, because we are accessing from this direction, directory. So let's say now we wanted to change our directory to VNV, and what we can do is that you see that now they are this directory is the same as what we are seeing: library, scripts, git ignore, pnv. So it's actually the same one here. So now what we can do is continue to go into the scripts one. You'll see that it's the same. If I were to press DIL, you will be able to see the multiple different activate options that we have here. Okay, because today this is a command line terminal, command prompt terminal, so we'll just press activate. So now you'll notice that the virtual environment is activated already. Okay, so to go back to this original directory of the folder, we can just press CD, and it will go back to our original folder, which is the tutorial scraper. Okay, so now we will move on to installing the library. Make sure that you are in this directory, then you press pip. Actually, it doesn't matter, because you will install to the virtual environment that is listed here. So we can proceed to pip install request. Wait for it to install, then we'll continue to pip install vs4. So this will be the library that we'll be using to so-called systematically get information out of a particular website after the website have been downloaded to your computer using the request library. So to verify that whether you have installed this properly, what you can do is go to pip freeze arrow requirements.txt. So once you've done this, you'll notice that here, right, now you suddenly have a new file called requirements have popped up. You just need to double click this. You'll notice that this is the libraries that you have installed in your virtual environment. In this case, is this VNV here. You notice that this is the same as the one that we see on the right hand side. Okay, moving on. What we can do now is we will start by we also have to set up a bit more configuration for simplicity's sake for those who are using PyCharm. What you can do is you can add a debug configuration. You can set up Python here. Okay, here is like basically you can click Shift F9 and it will run your code instantly. So okay, before we proceed with this configuration, we need to create a new Python file, which is the one that you'll be running your web scraping scripts. So maybe in this case I'll call it webscraper.py. So you'll see that now there's this webscraper file that was generated. Oh, sorry, I think I put it in. Oh yeah, it's in the correct direction. It shouldn't be inside the VNV. We should be putting it inside the tutorial. Okay, maybe I'll just delete this to demonstrate again. So minimize this, select the tutorial scraper, right click, create new, create a Python file, and here you call it webscraper.py. Okay, so now I notice that there's this webscraper file that was created. Okay, since we already have a place that where we're going to run our Python script, we can add a configuration file, or you can do this in the command line if you wanted to. We just go into Python. Okay, now basically you're setting up the settings to download your to run your Python script. So in this case, we select the web scraper from the tutorial scraper directory, which is the one here. And also the Python interpreter will be the one that was being created inside your tutorial scraper virtual environment. So make sure that you are you're aware of what you are doing, and just press apply and press OK. So the idea is that if let's say today I just copy paste all the code that I have already pre-prepped for you all and paste it in. The idea is when I run my Python code on this debug button here, it will run and you'll see that things will be running here. So you see that there are many scripts being written. This is because of the set of codes that I've written here. Okay. Alternatively, if you don't want to use the setting on the top right here, let me close this other file first. Okay, what you can do is you can go to the terminal down here and you press Python, and let's just say that I wanted to run my webscraper.py. When I press enter, you'll see that the exact same code will be running that was shown just now under the debug mode, but now it will be in the terminal side. So some people would prefer this kind of method, but you'll see that it's actually doing the same thing. So it's up to personal choice. Okay, so let's start going into the code. Okay, so the idea of how we should use this is that request is a library where you can later let me just minimize all these different functions first. Okay, so the idea is that how to use this library, what we can do is, let me comment out this one first. Okay, so what we can do now is that, okay, these are just functions that we predefined. Upon when we want to use this, then only we activate the function. Okay, to use this request, what it's doing is like when you go to a Google Chrome website, for example, you just open up your Google Chrome and you key in this URL. It works similarly to how the request library works. So like in this case, I have selected a URL, which is that web page that you have seen just now. I key in the string for the URL. Okay, now I wanted to call the website. So in this case, it's like this request is similar to a bit similar to like Google Chrome. It will proceed to that website and get information from the website, and it will return as a response object. So in this response object, you have a lot of information, and you notice that, let's say I don't show you this, right, and you wanted to print your response. So let's say I just run the code here, I press Shift F9, you'll see that now there's a response 200 here. So how to know what kind of response refers to whether your code is running or not, you can always just go to this website here to determine what is the status of the response. 200 normally means okay. Okay, so like what you see here, response 200 means okay. Okay, other than that, after calling the information, you'll be wondering, okay, how do I know whether have I downloaded the website in this object here? Okay, let's go to the website here. When we press F12, you'll see that this is the HTML code that was written for this front-end website. You can see that if, let's say, I wanted this table, I can just right-click and inspect. And here you'll be able to see that there are many things that you can inspect. Some of them is like the headers. You see, you just need to hover your mouse over. You can see that it's capturing the table. So today what we'll be doing is that we will try to capture this table information. Okay, you can either use div, table, it doesn't matter depending on your use case. But for today's example, we'll be using the table class. Okay, going back to the code. Okay, so how do we know are we downloading that HTML source code? We just check here. Okay, now we have the print response. We don't need to see this already. Let's move on to the source, which is in this case the text that you are looking here. Okay, I just need to press run. Okay, so you notice that this is the HTML file that you have downloaded every time when you execute the Python debug. So you notice that this is a HTML.html. This is the same as what you're downloading here. So you notice that there's a lot of information. So please understand that this method doesn't work for certain websites because there are certain frameworks that doesn't allow you to script their website that easily. So I will leave that complicated method in a separate video. Okay, so now since we have already downloaded the file in this source file, we will turn it into a soup. So what this thing is doing is that this soup, beautiful soup, it will convert whatever source that was coming in here and then turn it into like ABC soup, if you want to put it that way. Okay, so now let's go and try to run a certain function of codes. Like now we wanted to find inside this set of code there are multiple tables. So for example, we know that in this beautiful soup there are multiple functions. To explore more on what individual functions can do, you can go to this website here. Okay, so let's start with using the method codes that I've written here. So I wanted to find all the tables in this website. Okay, I'll expand this code. So the idea is very simple. I already have created my soup. I throw in my soup as a parameter. Now I wanted to find all the table tags that is inside this set of soup. So when I press run right now, you see that the idea is that I want to print the number of tables, how many are there, and for every table, print it out. So I just press Shift F9. I just press the debug button. let me minimize this website. You'll notice that there are multiple tables. This is one table, this is one table. So in this case, you'll notice that they'll print out every content of the table with a separation of this. So this is like one table. You see that they have the table tag here. So how the soup works is that it identifies certain tags inside tags inside the source code. So that's how they section off their system. Okay, so this is like, you notice that there are in total of around 10 tables. You can see here, I think I printed it out. I did not print the number of tables. Where did I put number of, see. So let me not print this once and rerun it again, just to let you have a clearer understanding. So you see that I printed 10 tables and I've separated them into individual tables. So there are a total number of 10 tables. You will be able to find all 10 of these tables inside the F12 of this source code here on the right. So you notice that there's already, let me see, the first one is plain links. What you can do is you can press Control Find and press table. So you see that they will just yep, plain links table. So you notice that in this set of code there are multiple tables already. Okay, so this is the first function. Let's look into, let's say if I just wanted to find a specific table, it's also doable. What we can do is that let me expand the second line of code. Okay, so now let's say I just wanted to find a very specific table that has, okay, we don't just want to say we want to find all the text with a table one. We want to find one with have a subsection of this thing here. Like it has to be as a class of this information here. So this is how you use it. You can use soup find a specific table and a class and this particular value of the class. So if I press Shift F9, if I press the debug button, you see that instead of getting 10 tables now, I'm just getting one. So you see that it's just a one-liner table. So let's say I want to find this to verify this information. What I can do is Control Find. See that it will just prompt me the first table that it can find. So some of them are, these are like jQuery information that is added as a tag, but we can ignore this. So you might need to give some trial and error, because sometimes if we put in the full path it doesn't work. You might want to shorten it a bit to make sure that you can get what you want. Okay, so we don't just want to scrape the table because it's still very raw. What we can do is that we can proceed to find individual tags, such as for this example, rows of information of, let's say, a cell of an information. So in this case, let's move on into like finding all the tables, but every table I wanted to be very clear that I just wanted to find this TD, which is in this case is like showing a cell of the information. So how does this work? Let me turn off the second function and go into the third one. So now what we are looking for is that we are looking for a specific table, and inside that specific table I wanted to find the cells of the cells of that table. So in this case I'm looking at not the header of this table here. I'm looking at individual cells here. So let's run the code. Okay, so just to let you know, what I have done here is that, okay, like based in the previous example, I have also created I'm just searching for from that one table, and now I'm searching for every cell in that table except for the header rows. So what you can do is you can do a combination of different entities. In this case, once you have called out the table, what you can do is table and find out inside this table I wanted to look for all the TD attributes, and I know that there will be more than one because I'm using the find all function. So in this case it's an array of information being stored in TDS. So how do I do it? Okay, I just for every single TD get just one cell out of it, and you notice that in this cell that I can get out the information in terms of text, like what we see here. So you can see that for example, this example here, I wanted to take out the text might be a bit like you notice that certain cells might have multiple information, so you might need to add on further validation depending on the scenario. So let's say we are talking about okay, let's say blue eyes white dragon, for example. Okay, so here what we can do is, you see, in this TD case, I will get everything that is being wrapped inside the TD. But then again, this is not how you want to store. You just wanted blue eyes white dragon. So in this case, what you can do is that you can just use the .td.text function just to get the text information out. So what you see here is the text information. Okay. Not just that, some of these links that we have provided actually is linkable. So you might have another add tag. So in this a tag tied to the element. Notice that inside here there's this ahref. So what we can do is that just to ensure that sometimes not all entities would have the a tag. So you need to make sure that I wanted to find all of it. Then you just need to length and do the iteration if there is any. If it's more than 0, then it will iterate through the whole information. If it isn't, then what you can do is that, like what you see here, I just wanted to find a particular tag, and if it's there, then print out the data. So in this case, you'll see that, okay, this example here, I do have a linkable direction that I wanted to go. For example, if I wanted to go to the next page, I can store this href if this is of reference. So this is an attribute that is shown on the website itself. So let's say I wanted to find this. Yeah, so you see that here there is a href location that we can find here. So it is that this is corresponding to each other. And when we say href, you'll notice that this information here is actually retrieved from this information that was listed inside the href. You can use a dictionary style calling of information. Whereas title is also another attribute that was wrapped inside the a value. So you can get this. So now if I were to print out just the text, right, it will just give me blue eyes white dragon. Let's say, for example, I just write this code here. If a.text is not none, then I should be able to print a.text. Let's try to run this code. Maybe I'll try to make it a bit more confirming. Let's see, title text. Okay. Okay, let's search for blue eyes. Okay, so just now I have that text, right? So you notice that now I'm wrapping between the a text. This is the text value. So with this, you can basically store this in a dictionary and maybe put it into a pandas or Excel or Notepad that you wanted to store. Yep, so this is for today's tutorial on how to use the beautiful soup with the request library to script information from your website. If you wanted to have this source code, I'll put inside the GitHub link below. You just need to you can just go to the GitHub to download my code from there. Thank you.